First off, wow. I did not expect to see anything remotely close to what it is that we're witnessing right now by this Vikings organization. That so far through this free agency, up to this point anyway, performance-wise, the Vikings have been the best in the league, and it's not even close. They have shattered everything that not just I, but everything that we have been accustomed to time after time, off season after off season, meaning these glaring, gaping issues that you have that you must address head on. Let's finally address these issues. Instead, what do? More often than not, they just fart around thinking they can thrift shop their way through all their problems. Not that there's anything wrong with going to a thrift shop. My mom shopped for me at the thrift shop when I was a kid. I find it convenient now that with my kids, her grandbaby, she goes to the factory stores and gets everything MSRP, no problem. Thanks a lot, Mom. Kwesi cooked so crazy so far that it's overwhelming. But we're going to get to all of these moves that has happened, talking about players that the Vikings have brought back, that they have re-signed, players that they have let go, and players that they have added on, outside names, big-time impact players. I woke up this morning thinking I was drunk. Look, eyes just opening up. Look at my phone. Vikings are signing Jonathan Allen? What are you talking about? That wasn't even in the realm of possibility in my mind of the Vikings thinking about going after a guy like that. Yeah, we have to address the interior of both sides of the ball, but you go after a guy like that and you land him, albeit he did miss 9 games last year due to injury, but when he's healthy, he's a force. So Jonathan Allen paired with Harrison Phillips, holy smokes, that's great. What an upgrade, but it doesn't stop there. Because I mentioned you need at least 2 guys on both sides of the interior. Okay, instead of, all right, Harrison Phillips and having to hope that we can get something out of nothing from Jerry Tillery and Jonathan Bullard. All right, you got Jonathan Allen. It didn't stop there. They have reached an agreement as well with Javon Hargrave, interior defensive lineman from the San Francisco 49ers. Once he's released, he's going to be a Viking. He did just play in 3 games last year, missing 14, and that's going to be the common theme here, folks, as far as the big-time players, the impact, big names that they signed on the interior offensive line and defensive lines. The common theme is they all have missed some time in 2024. It's a risk that is worth taking. I admire that by Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. Hey, you know what? Last offseason, free agency, we were singing his praises as far as you should have traded Danielle Hunter, but we're not going to go down that road again. But still losing Danielle Hunter, you replace him with AVG and Jonathan Grenard. You bring in Blake Cashman. That was a really good free agency. And we were saying, man, this dude is getting really good at this free agency stuff, right? He shattered everything we thought as far as how good he was in free agency out the water. He's pushed it to critical mass. This is psychotic stuff that he is doing. But think about this. Next year's starting interior defensive line to pair with the edge rushers in AVG and Jonathan Grenard, you have a bona fide stout wall in Harrison Phillips, Jonathan Allen, and Javon Hargrave. Try getting through that. Wow. And then on the interior offensive line, I was convinced, talking about shattering everything I've been accustomed to, I was convinced that Garrett Bradbury, they would come up with some reason, some excuse to bring Garrett Bradbury back again, just to watch him get forklifted off the line of scrimmage. But they said, no, we're done. We get it. This is bad. And what did they do? They upgraded at the center position. Ryan Kelly, center from the Indianapolis Colts. And it doesn't stop there on the interior offensive line. Fellow Indianapolis Colt, a player that I've been talking about with seemingly every other video on this channel so far this offseason, Will Freeze, guard from the Indianapolis Colts. And they committed a 5-year, $88 million contract to this man. They see him as the future. That's what I'm talking about. This is a dream. This is beyond anything I could have ever imagine that they would actually go ham on the trenches, both the offensive line and defensive line, like for real this time, not pussyfooting around, actually making an impact? This can't be real. What are we doing here? Think about the offensive line now. The newly improved. We talked about the interior defensive line. Let's talk about the offensive line going into next year, tentatively, because left guard is still a question mark. Left tackle, Christian Darrisaw. Left guard, we'll see Blake Brandel. At center, Ryan Kelly, an upgrade from Garrett Bradbury. And what the hell? What are we doing with Bradbury? I think I saw somewhere on Twitter that the Vikings are going to try to trade Bradbury. Either way, he's gone. Don't give a damn. Ryan Kelly at center. Will Freeze at right guard. Brian O'Neill at right tackle. What? What? And the remaining two outside players that the Vikings have brought in so far this free agency. Safety Bubba Bolden, who came into the league as an undrafted free agent. He has no NFL experience. So this is going to be either a special teams guy, or they understand that they can't afford a guy like Cam Bynum, who ended up signing a 4-year, $60 million deal with the Indianapolis Colts. They can't afford to bring back Cam Bynum if you want to address the trenches like you did. 2 players on both sides of the ball. So perhaps Bubba Bolden is more than a special teams player. Maybe he's the guy to play next to Theo Jackson in the event that Harrison Smith retires. And the other name that they brought in outside, cornerback Isaiah Rodgers from the Philadelphia Eagles on a 2-year, $15 million deal. Last year with Philadelphia, he played in 15 games, started just 3 of them. So that's a team-friendly deal to where this secondary, they brought back Byron Murphy Jr. We'll get to that in just a second. But with him, Isaiah Rodgers, Mekhi Blackman, Dwight McGlothern, they're saying, you know what? We'll have the leadership there with Byron Murphy Jr., but everybody else, because of the upgrades that we needed to do in the trenches, we're going to go thrift shop mode the rest of the way in the back end of the defense, and we'll figure it out later. Thank the good Lord. And then former Vikings players now joining another team. Talked about Cam Bynum. Sam Darnold. We now know it's the J.J. McCarthy era. Damn it. No questions about it. Because Sam Darnold is joining the Seattle Seahawks on a 3-year, $100.5 million deal. Thank you for everything that you've done, but those final 2 games of the season, we can't just look past that. We know who it is that you are in crunch time. We're trying to win a championship. We don't think we can do that with you. Good luck to you in Seattle, which I don't even understand what Seattle's even doing there. I don't think there's an upgrade going from Geno Smith to Sam Darnold. If anything, they're the same guy, but that's their problem, not ours. Daniel Jones talked about this actually time and time again so far this offseason, that he's going to get an opportunity to at least compete for a starting job. And I specifically mentioned the Indianapolis Colts. Guess what? That's where he ends up going on a 1-year, almost $18 million deal. He's going to compete with Anthony Richardson. They're going to give him one last shot to prove that he's not a bust, but I'm afraid that is going to be the case. Daniel Jones will be the starter in Indy. Patrick Jones II, he ends up leaving. He's going to get a starting job. We knew that. He's going to the Carolina Panthers on a 2-year, $20 million deal. So Dallas Turner, it's your time to shine. You were a first-round pick last year. Let's go. Nick Mullins. Okay, whatever, man. Nick Mullins, yeah, he ends up leave that leadership and all that value and blah, 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 blah that he brings. He's going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2 years, $6.5 million, and tight end Johnny Munt also joining the Jags, 2 years, $5.5 million. And then the players that the Vikings are re-signing, talked about Theo Jackson in the last video that I did, Byron Murphy Jr. I understand that we may be divided on if they should have brought him back or not. Is he worth $22 million a year, 3 years, $66 million contract? Wow. But honestly, with what they've done as far as upgrading the trenches on the offensive line and defensive line, I don't even have the bandwidth or the energy to bitch about Byron Murphy Jr. Oh, they shouldn't have brought him back. Who cares? Look what they've done in the trenches. Or bitch about Aaron Jones. 2 years, $20 million. Don't care. It's all, they have done so much great stuff so far this free agency, that this stuff that if you even want to try to complain about it, it's like, all right, you have nothing better to do. Respectfully. It's fine. And they're bringing back Ryan Wright on a 1 year, $1.75 million deal. And here's I don't even want to say the best part of it. I'm just going to say the cherry on top of everything that Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah has done in free agency. When we were doing videos talking about offseason plans, free agency, and the draft, I thought it was going to be in free agency a bit more modest, where you sign 2 impact players or 2 big name players and then an additional 2 impact players, but a little bit on the cheap. That's not going to be the case here. With what they've done in free agency so far, that creates all the flexibility in the world for this team in the draft. You don't have to worry about needs anymore. You can just go best player available. And I did a mock draft without even trading down. At pick 24, I'm just going to go Omarion Hampton, running back from North Carolina. Pick 97, Andrew Makuba, safety from Texas. 140, Jacob Parrish, cornerback from K-State. And at 161, Jeffrey Bassa, linebacker from Oregon. But that's just one mock draft. You can do so many mock drafts and not screw up, unless you take an offensive tackle or something. I wouldn't even be opposed to taking a tight end, a worthy tight end at pick 97. They can do whatever it is that they want. They are not beholden to say, well, we got to upgrade this in the draft because look what we missed out on in free agency. Kwesi has cooked to the infinite power. This is the best free agency so far in the NFL, and it's not even close. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. Well done, sir. We'll see you tomorrow, man.